Good afternoon. This is Pastor Darrin Harris with Freedom Fellowship Ministries United Church of Christ here in New Orleans, Louisiana. And I am here today with Kira Orange Jones, who is currently running for the Bessie District 2 Board. And so I wanted to give her the opportunity to introduce herself to our community and to our radio listening audience because we believe that this is one of the most important elections that our community is going to see. And so I think it's important for us to know about this election, why it's important, and to get to know Ms. Jones a little better. And so, Ms. Jones, we're happy to have you here today, and thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
No problem, no problem. So on October 22nd, it is a big day.
It is a big day.
It's a big day for you because this is your first time running for an election. So tell us today, who are you? How did you get here? Tell us a little bit more about you.
Well, first of all, thank you so much, Pastor Harris, for having me here. It's a pleasure to be able to talk with you today. I am running for the Bessie Board, District 2, and just to be clear, because the districts changed a bit, District 2, which is Orleans Parish, is the West Bank of Jefferson Parish, and it's the river parishes, so St. James, St. John, St. Charles, and Assumption parishes. District 2, because I believe all children deserve the opportunity to have an excellent education. I'm a career educator. I've been working in education 11 years. I started my career 11 years ago as a fourth grade teacher. There I saw firsthand with my fourth graders teaching here in Louisiana that every child has the opportunity, should have the opportunity to have an excellent education and really has the potential to succeed when given that chance. And so that's where my career started. I'm now the executive director of Teach for America Greater New Orleans. I run our local regional program here. I'm responsible for recruiting, selecting, and training a core of teachers, about 400 teachers across the district. And there I also see working with teachers and working with principals that when we have quality teachers and leaders with our children, we are able to really ensure that they are able to achieve their dreams. And I believe every child deserves that.
So why now? Why did you decide to run for this office?
You know, I'm running because really this is such an important election. You spoke to that. This election will impact the entire path of K-12 education throughout the entire state of Louisiana for the next decade. That is a generation of children and beyond will be impacted by the decisions of this board. And I really believe that we need the perspective of educators on this board who can speak credibly to what it takes to actually be an effective educator, what it takes to put the conditions in place around our educators, both teachers and school leaders and support staff, to ensure children learn. And I believe I bring that perspective to this conversation, certainly to this race, and ultimately to that board.
Now, there have been many people, as I follow the election, who have tried to brand you as a part of the charter movement, and there are some people who are opposed to it. Can you speak and educate us on what is the charter movement, what is your position, your role, and what would you say to your opponents?
I would say this is about good schools. I believe all of our families and all of our parents deserve really good schools that they could send their children to. And not just one, but they should have a choice of good schools for where they send their children to. And so I wouldn't say I am charter versus non-charter. I would say I'm about good schools. I believe there are great charter schools. I believe there are great traditional schools. And what I think we need to do is make sure that we are promoting and preserving the schools that are actually demonstrating results for our children. And when we do that, we are able to see, and when we do that, what we are looking at is, are we actually impacting student achievement in those buildings? And when you look at that, what you see is there are successful charters and successful traditional schools. So, yeah.
And so there are some best practices that you have explored.
Yes, there are definitely best practices I've explored, and I would say those best practices are a couple to begin with. The first is when you are in buildings where the entire staff of adults are focused on student achievement, there is a culture of achievement that is created in that building. And the culture is, it is our responsibility as adults to educate the children in this building no matter what, right? And that's the first thing you see in buildings that are really achieving. The next thing you see capable school leaders and principals who are able to make decisions that they think are best for children, where they are able to really be held accountable to results, but truly have the empowerment to lead their buildings as they would like to. That's what you see when you see schools that are achieving. And the last is you see schools that are really committed to engaging parents meaningfully, where you have parents who are actively engaged in what is happening with their children. You have schools that are transparent, have open door policies for parents, and are ensuring that information is shared with parents so that parents can actually be partners in this to educate their children.
Okay. Well, we do appreciate your answer on that, because that was a good answer. And I know on October 5th there is going to be a debate. And I don't know if this is the first of its kind. I've never heard of a debate for a school board, for the Bessie board. And so it'll be you and one other opponent, correct?
Well, it may be more than one opponent. There's four opponents. There's four of us in the race. So there'll be potentially four of us, and if not, there may be a few less. Depends on who shows there. Okay. I'll be there. Okay,
well, we're looking forward to that. And so let me ask this question. What are your plans? What are your plans to improve our community's educational system?
I think that is such an important question, and I named it. I started to get into it a little while ago, but just to name it again, there are a couple things that I'm really passionate about right now. I would say, first and foremost, parent voice matters. Mm-hmm. We need to make sure that moving forward, our parents, those parents who have children in the public school system, are really advocating for what they believe is best for their children, and that they have real options for their children. That is my first priority on this board. The second priority is ensuring that every classroom has access to a quality teacher in front of children. Studies show us that when you can put a quality, good, or great teacher in front of a child for 3 consecutive years, you could change the entire academic path of that child. You can change their lives as a result of that experience. So we need to focus on quality teachers, and we need to focus on quality school leaders and administrators. And I would say third, I'm focused on making sure we're able to continue to build on what I think is already a strong accountability system that links teacher performance to student achievement. At the end of the day, if you are a teacher in a classroom and you're responsible for the achievement of a group of students, at the end of the day, that's what you should be judged by, and we should be able to measure that. And so we need to make sure we continue to help make sure we can link teacher performance to the results that students actually demonstrate in terms of the growth they have in that year. And that is my third priority.
So, Ms. Jones, for those schools who are underperforming, are there going to be any consequences? Is there time for them to get it together? How would you address that?
Yeah, that's a good question, and you know, the truth is, at the end of the day, I believe my role on Bessie is to advocate, again, for the parents and the students who are either feeling the benefits of the cost of the public school system that they are in. And my job is to make sure that system upholds its promise to educate every child.
As we draw close to the end of our interview, I would like you to share with our listening audience, because we have a diverse group of people who are listening right now. What is your commitment to voters? What is your commitment to educators? What is your commitment to parents? And of course, what is your commitment to the children of our community?
My commitment to voters, educators, parents, and children is to work as hard as I possibly can to put student achievement first in every decision that I make on this board. I know that there will be many decisions that I'll make as a member of the Bessie board, and there's lots of policy decisions that are made in Baton Rouge that impact the lives of children, and all of them we may not even be able to name here today. But what I know is every decision that I'll be faced with, I will ask as an educator, right, and from the perspective of having worked closely with educators over the course of my career and parents, I will say, is this decision going to impact the lives of children positively? Is this going to increase student achievement? And my commitment is to ensure that I put that decision first and foremost in all that I do.
Thank you. So one of the major concerns right now in our community is youth who drop out. Mm-hmm. How do we address this? What do we do about our community's youth who decide to give up?
I think you are raising an issue that is such a vital challenge in our community, and I think the issue begins even much earlier than high school. I mean, so many studies show that in middle school, we're talking about 6th, 7th grade, based on how children are performing, they are likely to drop out even before they get to high school. So the first thing we need to do is improve our middle schools. Because if we can make sure that our middle school children make it to high school, the likelihood that they will actually then make it through the 4 years of high school increases by 30 or 40%. So we really need to address that first. Then what we need to do is make sure that our high schools are really creating meaningful instructional programs that engage all students. And what we know is all students are not engaged by the same thing. Some children may be more oriented towards certain types of learning, and other children might actually be engaged other ways. We need to make sure that we have very diverse learners and make sure that our schools reflect that and feel that it's their responsibility to ensure the engagement of children throughout all 4 years to decrease the rate of dropouts.
Okay, thank you. And in closing, why should our community vote for Kira Orange Jones?
I know firsthand what is possible when children are given the opportunities to achieve because they are provided an excellent education. And I'm going to work incredibly hard to ensure that that happens for children across the state. In my own life, I've attended good schools only because my mother fought to take me out of failing schools and put me into schools that would ensure that I had the opportunity to have the life that I deserved. And when I went to high school, lucky enough to go to a high-performing high school after going to failing schools earlier, I only went there and made it through because of dedicated teachers who took an interest in me, who believed in me when I couldn't believe in myself. And so I know the power of quality educators and leaders, and I'm going to work hard to make sure that all children have the chance at that.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Jones, for sharing with our listening audience today. We appreciate your time. I know you have a really busy schedule, but we appreciate you sharing all the information that you've shared with us today.